Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Brian if you're new around here, but if you're a returning subscriber, welcome back, you sexy beast. That's what you get for subscribing, by the way. Free compliments at the start of these videos. Now, I have just finished watching the Asmongold reaction to my goodbye to Final Fantasy XIV. The other video, actually there's a list of them, but the second video on the docket, which we're going to be diving into today, is Zeppla HQ's on her Zepp Live channel, reacting to Ginger Prime Worked a Game Quitting, Final Fantasy XIV. And here's the question before stepping in to the post. I don't know if people in chat want to weigh in on this one. Maybe it's late and maybe you're just listening and relaxing. Thanks for being here live. Hopefully you enjoy this and or the archive on Prime. But is Zeppla Team Brian or is she Team Chris? My theory is, if I'm going to put money on it, I think she's Team Brian the whole way. We've seen her react to Chris's stuff, and I don't think she's even posted some of her Chris reactions. And either she wasn't proud of them, she didn't necessarily enjoy them. Long story short, I don't know if he necessarily aligns with Chris's perspective, and that's interesting. So we'll explore that. We'll see if we where we end up in the grand scheme of things. So. Australia says, I started 14 in April 2021 after I cleared the 6.0 MSQ. I felt that I had beaten a Final Fantasy game and I'm kind of done as well. It just felt like I didn't need anything else from the game. And that's the feeling that I have, the satisfaction of the game in a very beautiful way. I'm going to be generous and continue to pre-like. The like that you see is apparently like her on my video. So I don't know. Asmon did not hit the like button on my video. I hit the like button on his. I'm a like hander outer. So I'm gonna pre-like Zeppla's video, even if she, I don't know. I don't think she's gonna be one who rips me to shreds in that regards. And then a new spin lag. Thanks so much for that Prime sub, as that support is amazing. She's a story diehard, 100% Brian. Yeah, I think so, Rooster. I think so.
So, Worked a Game, saying goodbye. It's Final Fantasy XIV. Now, I was on their podcast once upon a time, a few years ago. Had a really good time chatting with them. And so, I wonder, I'm just curious. I don't know anything about this, but I just want to know what's happened and why you don't want to make the content anymore.
Today, I want to talk to you guys about why. It's been maybe a little while since I've listened to Zeppla's videos. I felt like there's a little bit country in how she introduced that. Chat can let me know if I'm mistaken, and I'm not making fun of her. This is how I normally talk whenever I'm not on camera. I don't, but sometimes when I get tired, I just like to slip into a comfort level. But I caught a twang, and I don't know if y'all caught that twang. All right, cool. Caramax says her accent's gotten stronger since she's returned to the Straits. Hell yeah, South. Let's go, Southerners. I'm leaving Final Fantasy XIV. My reasons for doing so, the impact on the content going forward, not just within my controller guide series, but also how it will impact our collabs over at Worked a Game and news coverage, as well as FanFest. So this video is going to be quite detailed.
Yeah, are you still going to do
FanFest? Reasons first and
FanFest?
foremost, and then I'm going to cover kind of my plan going forward. If you guys want, you can jump to any specific section of this video that interests you the most. Now, that being said, I know this video probably will upset some people, and at the same time, I know there'll probably be people who are rejoicing that I'm leaving Final Fantasy XIV. And to both of those groups, like, hopefully you guys have the best day ever. I only wish good things for you always. But I consider myself an honest person. I always try to be really honest with each and every one of you about how I'm feeling, what I'm thinking.
That's good.
And that's what this video is going to be.
I wonder if it's just, are you not having fun anymore? If
anybody who's been following my content for any period of
burnt
time,
out?
None of this should come off as a surprise. We probably had these conversations more in private and on stream. But I want to be honest with you guys. I want to be direct with you guys, and I'm going to tell you what's going on. Having heard this now a second time, I guess back to back, I say the word honest like I think 3 times within a minute, and that annoys me. And again, like this wasn't a script. This is, let's see here. Where's my notepad? This wasn't a script. Goodbye, Final Fantasy. So I had some thoughts that I wrote out, But usually this is how I kind of structure it. And maybe I should put it, a little bit more like this, so it's like, that's kind of how I structure my videos. Like, okay, 1, 2, 3, okay, about content. So that when I'm talking, I can reference this as a, like, what was I thinking as I was kind of trying to like lay out the video itself. So, and that's the thing, Caramac. I've been waiting for somebody to just like go through like and find these things that I say over and over again, because it cracks me up, because I know that I do these things. Let's go ahead and dive into my reasons for leaving Final Fantasy XIV, just so we're all on the same page.
So he said that he's not actually burnt out. It sounds like he has some actual grievances with the game itself, like the way the game itself is run, the content in the game.
Yeah, and I think she's gonna have that addressed in the in her next reaction to the video. We're kind of talking about my 5 main reasons in that regards, because like at its core, like, and I touch on it. I touch on it for those of you, because I made this video for those of you who are active, who are here, who follow the content, who are part of the discussions, right? And so it's like, one of the things that I need to figure out is, how do I manage that when going wide? And maybe that's an editorial perspective, because one of the things I could have done, I guess, better in terms of like just packaging it. Imagine, like, because what she's asking for, I had to do it in the follow-up. It could have been like, well, I have talked about this. Here's a playlist for y'all. If you're really interested, you can go and explore that if you wish.
And I've only seen, I think we only watched one other video of his that was recent.
And if she did that, I haven't seen that posted. So if chat knows if she's reacted to any of my other content, like, y'all can maybe help me find that link and put it into Discord, because I won't be able to kind of pull it up here.
And what was that video about? Do you remember?
Not a memorable one, apparently.
He hasn't said it. That was just the intro. That's just the intro. So he's about to explain what his reasons are.
Covering Final Fantasy XIV
I'll hear him out.
for over 13 years. Longer if you actually count Project Rapture. This equates to easily over 120,000 hours. I have bled Final Fantasy XIV.
You don't have to Omni 90. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't do that. The reward isn't good enough. I Omni'd 80 because I got an incredible mount reward for doing that. I loved doing that because I got a big dopium at the end. But if you don't give me the... I mean, the level 80 all jobs to 80, all jobs to 90 reward is just a ribbon for your hair. You think I'm gonna level monk for that? I mean, and machine. I know some people like monk. I just don't. Okay, I just don't like.
Slept. I have dreamed. I've daydreamed. I've written, and I have been a part of this community before it even was a community. Before there was even a game. I don't know why this game just captured my attention as a Final Fantasy fan, as an 11 player looking to see what this next generation Final Fantasy game could be.
Okay, you're saying he did Omni 90 for the controller's guides that he promised his community. Okay, so he wanted to do controller guides, and that's why he got every job to 90, but he said he wasn't burnt out, so I don't think that's...
I'm not. And so it's been an incredible journey. During said time for this game, I wasn't even married. I had no kids. Now here I am as a father of 5, and that's really the first reason.
He has 5 kids? Oh my god, I had no idea. No wonder he's quitting Final Fantasy 14. Holy shit.
5? Question mark?
Shit. That's all you had to say? Just say, well, I have 5 children. Okay. Well, sir, that's completely understandable.
I want to invest more time
Best of luck to
in my
you.
family. But I would be getting...
I want to say, I'm happy for him. That's great. But still, I cannot wrap my mind around the time investment that you would need to raise 5 children. 5 children in your house.
up at 5 a.m. every day. I'd be going to bed after 10. Like, these are some very long days that I have to be as a provider for the family, but also try to be present for the family, and at the same time also working on content. People will often ask, how do you do it, Brian? Like I can't, like, you put out content, you're doing all these things, how are you doing it? And it's like, I would always say, like, I get up, like, I get up before everybody else does.
You do not have to make any other justifications for people at all.
I'm up very early and I'm going to bed very late, and that takes a toll. That takes a big toll on anybody, right?
I can't believe he's been able to make any videos.
Yeah, thank you. Pour my time back into my. Thank you. That's all I needed, guys. Good night. That's all I needed. Like, oh man, the fact that, like, it exists, it as an act of the freaking will. You know, and it's like I harp on the negative part of the community because they hurt, in my worldview, the positive part of the community. The people who feel like they have to defend their game from me, I think they hurt the game overall. And so we've been at war, happily so. Really since, why am I drawing a blank on the name? I love it. Limit Break Radio went offline for, like, the first time. Like, Limit Break Radio was the like, they were, they put, I always like their content. But it was like, you could see that within the community, just absolutely hating them. Oh, they think the game could be a blah, 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 you know? And then that kind of, once they kind of said, all right, we're done. Like, that kind of fell in my historical perspective on work form. It's strong, and it sucks because, again, like, not saying I'm right here, but I believe the not talking to him, like Asmund said, don't even reply to him and stuff like that. But it's like, you know, it's, the hope is that maybe one kind of says, well, hey, what am I doing? You know, and maybe, you know, like, that's what they needed in that day in that regards. So yeah, it sucks because I see the damage that they've done, and and I wasn't expecting people to follow me through, and, you know, I was like, the first one in gets shot, you know, right? It's like, but the hope that we can continue to say that is not acceptable is what we need to do. Hey, what's up, Jay? How you doing? Kids and into my family, and this, I think, is a really good thing. They are like everything, and I'm looking, maybe one day they'll want to step into Final Fantasy 14, you know, and at that point, when they're old enough, I don't like how it ended personally, and you can go watch that video if you're interested, because I'm not rehashing it here, but I feel complete. I feel very satisfied with my experience, and that's why this all falls down into.
That makes sense too, because Endwalker was designed to be like the end of this long story arc. So it's like, if you were already felt like you need to step away, that feels like it would be the right time to do so, just thematically. Like, you're not ready to start onto this brand new adventure and the brand new arc that's going forward. You don't want to get too invested in it again.
Yeah, exactly.
If you already felt like other factors were pulling you away.
Will they re-invite me back into the game? Ultimately,
yeah, that's valid.
Time will be the teller here, but no, I want to pour myself into that. I want to invest in my family. I want to invest in my health so that I can continue to be with my family.
That's
that
reason
really
number
into,
one.
Like, I'm not streaming late at night. I can't keep getting up at this early. I'd rather be investing my time, if I'm going to get up early, into exercise and making sure that I'm eating right and meals are planned, so that I can try to be there for them for as long as I can. And I think that makes a lot of sense, and hopefully people understand that. The second main reason is I'm going to keep investing into my comedy career. As a stand-up comedian, I'm having great success.
Wow.
Like, even outside of being...
Wait, I didn't know you did stand-up too. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Man, I feel like a Cheems now, because I'm like, oh my gosh, it's hard for me to get up at 7:30 and start, you know, working on getting my coffee ready and getting...
What the hell? 7:30? Holy smokes. I'm usually on, like, you know, taking Maddie to school at that time. Like, it's like, I've gotten up, I've done some exercise, I've gotten the kids up, I fed the kids breakfast, I've made sure that we, like, Julie's helping. It's, when I say you know, it's a we team here, and got the kids, whoever's going to school, like Maddie's going to school, the other kids do like Tuesday, Thursday right now. And depending on the day, like, okay, here we go. Here we got. Now what we do is Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Chris and I get together and we do kind of a morning show in that regards. And yeah, and then apparently Aratara says they wake up at 3:45 a.m. and go to bed at midnight. Yeah. You probably need to get some sleep on that, and I probably need to join you on that. Let's continue on this reaction, and then we can all. We're only going to do this one, and then we'll schedule some more time to kind of go through some of these other reaction videos.
Ready to talk to the stream today. We get everything ready that we're going to talk about today. Meanwhile, it's like completely quiet here. I just have my dog and my cat.
Sounds like a good life.
I have no excuse now. I have absolutely no excuse.
Successful in this space and having people show up for shows and
like I'm genuinely impressed so far. This is not the reaction that I expected. This is not the way that I expected this video to go.
Well, that's exciting to hear.
He's like, well, actually, I just want to have time to take care of my 5 children and wake up early and do meal prep and exercise and work on my stand-up career. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say the game is bad, and I could, but it turns out I feel like I'm the one getting memed on.
Getting invited back to shows and just ultimately really having a wonderful time with stand-up comedy. It's incredible for my mental health. There is so much that I get to explore, and I get to be funny, and I get to just really kind of not have to worry about the internet and the rules of the internet. And if anybody knows what I'm talking about, I made a joke in a video, and like literally, like obviously lots of positive, but the negatives always seem to float up. And it's those notes, those people who stated these dumb things about the joke, which was clearly a joke, that is the reason why I will never.
Wait, what was the joke? what was the joke that he made that some people didn't like very much? Look, I don't.
So satisfying.
Do you guys know? I've been to comedy clubs. I love to go to comedy clubs. It's one of my favorite things to do is watch stand-up. And I don't know if you've ever been to a comedy club, but sometimes those jokes can get a bit, like not PC out there, and with varying levels of funny degrees. You know, like I feel like there's a little bit of a line that it's fun for a comedian to poke at, as long as they're not punching down, right?
Post my stand-up on the internet, and that because people are just so hypersensitive and they just can't seem to handle certain things. And
I mean, I feel like this can go different ways, right? Like sometimes you can make a joke that's offensive because it's poking at norms, and that can be funny in like a way of looking outside at a problem and like addressing it in a new way and exposing the biases that people have in a funny way. That's one of the things that comedy does really well that I enjoy about comedy. But then
I think is the role of a comedian is to basically punch up at gods. And it's like golden calf, things that people idolize, and essentially things that people say that are untouchable. I think the job of a good comedian is to focus in on the untouchables, right? But like my rules, like I was saying in the previous video, it's gotta be funny, you know. And I think usually in this case, like I do a lot of like, you know, in my like self, you know, maybe mortification in that regards, like, but I tell people the reality of it. I talk about, you know, the reality of 5 kids. The concepts of these things, and like all that stuff. It's like I'm people really seem to like how, just like she didn't know where this video was going, like you don't know where my pivots are, and I hope that I can keep those jokes going and refreshing. Like I have actually a joke that I wrote today. Oh no, that's not a safe joke for the internet. Never mind.
There's also the brand of comedy that's like just edgy and like being rude.
No, I don't like. I'm not. That's not my preference.
Rude and being an ass and just saying that. Oh, that's me being edgy. You know, I haven't heard his comedy, so I don't know. I don't know what it is. Like, what are people?
I would support somebody who's like an edgelord in that regards, where they're pushing into that comedy space. I don't think that's me. I really like surprising people.
being sensitive about. It could be a lot of things.
But that does go into kind of dark topics. Just not gonna lie.
I don't know what, but
it's not even like an offensive joke. It's just, it is what it is, right? But that just kind of reaffirms, like, I love being a stand-up comedian. I'm having great success.
I don't know what the joke was, but he seems to be referring to a specific joke that some people didn't like.
Being a stand-up comedian. There is a Louis C.K. joke that I do. Actually, I have a couple of Louis C.K. jokes. I don't know if it's safe to say them here on the internet, though. I'll think about it. Maybe I can get to the point where I can take the show on the road. New World is just so effing good. It is such a great game. And it...
Is it?
Yeah, it's an incredible game. If you like Final Fantasy...
What year is it?
Its story, like, I really like what New World's doing.
No, it's still 2022. Okay. Holy shit. It's still 2020. I got scared, man. Like I thought I slept in pretty hard this morning. I just wasn't sure.
Delivers on the things that I've been advocating for in the world of Final Fantasy, and that's where I'm drawn to. Like, I can't deny the fun and the community that we've had, and so all of man, this is such a great video.
I've never heard someone say that, but I guess there are some people that feel like that because people play that game. So I'm not, I mean, it's not for me to tell you what's fun or not. You know, if you're having fun, if you love New World, then maybe you just want something else out of a game than what Final Fantasy can give you. Glad someone likes it, right? I'm not.
New World and 14 had an update on the very same day. 14 deserves better than me having to force myself to play it for the content. And
well, you should never force yourself to play a game for the content.
Agreed.
If you're not having fun, you should not play that because people they can tell. Like the viewers are incredibly perceptive. They can tell when you're having a good time. They can tell when you're not having a good time. They can tell when it's forced. They can tell when it's not. And you're not, it doesn't work like that way. You cannot force yourself to do it and expect any kind of success or results out of that because, I mean, they're with you. The viewers are along for the ride with you. And if you're not enthusiastic about it, then it's just not going to be fun for anybody. And it won't be sustainable in terms of like your energy.
Hopefully none of this comes across as like, oh, you shouldn't play Final Fantasy. Now, I'd still highly encourage you to check it out if you never played Final Fantasy. But at its core, I wanted to be in New World. That's where I want to spend my time when I have time to game. And that's where
I did not expect this. I haven't been keeping up to date with him. So actually, you know what I would love to see is a video explaining in detail, like, what is so amazing about New World that is way better than Final Fantasy, because I feel like
yeah, I guess if I was remaking that video, I'd include this as a clip at the start.
I'm struggling to understand this. I'm really struggling right now. You said it's having a bit of a resurgence. This video is full of surprises. Okay.
What is the joke?
Type of MMO.
What is the joke? And that's my fear, is that New World goes down the same route that World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy XIV have gone down. And we can see how that leads to issues in their success. Their success is of...
Yeah, actually, it's a really good point here in the chat. Like, if you hear this and you feel upset because he's leaving, because you feel uncomfortable when someone leaves a game that you like, you need to check yourself, because like, it's not a cult. It's fine for people to leave. It's fine for people to not like it for any reason, no matter how silly that reason. Even if that reason is New World is better, to them that's valid, okay? I don't have to understand it, but they like that. So I mean, what am I?
Led to
Who am I
an
to
issue,
judge?
and
Like,
shouldn't we all be blessed to have that level of honestly feels like it's a game that's designed as a way to placate angry WoW players. It's a game that's set up to catch
what? Holy shit! Was that? So this whole time, are you telling me that Final Fantasy XIV predicted from its inception that World of Warcraft would make people match, and they built their entire game upon that premise, knowing that
honestly, Karamak, it wasn't all just her in terms of that line. It's not even directed at her, but in terms of the refugee,
knowing that one day the WoW players would be matched and they would need a new home. That's what.
It's because WoW defined the language that when you think about your MMO experience, 14 now is made up of more former WoW players than Final Fantasy 11 players, right? They had to come from somewhere. And so Yoshi P has talked about that. You know, Asmon's talked about that. And I think that that's the one concerns that I have is that do they ever do like a level squish in the future? Like, oh. But there is a playbook and they can see what plays work out and what plays maybe need another pass. And this is a strength. None of that's an insult. But you think about it, like, and I go into it. We'll see if she can hit play. Former WoW player describes like 100 million people, so that's pretty broad brush. Yeah.
Yoshi P said at the start, when Yoshi P took control of 1.0 and they told him to fix it, he's like, and they were like, hey, you should make a really good Final Fantasy MMO. And he's like, no. I've seen a vision. I've seen a vision of a man. His name was Bobby Kotick. And in this future that I've seen in my dreams, all of the WoW players were crying tears. And I need to collect these tears, and we need to create a crystal from their crystallized tears. And this will be the crystal that our game will be built around and give them a new place to live and be free. This is what our game is supposed to be. Let's go get to work studying World of Warcraft so that we know exactly what kind of game to build for these people, okay?
Well, I mean, that last part is true. Like, that's exactly what he did. Like, why I don't see, like, why the Anthem team was like, no, we don't want to have any comparisons to Destiny. No, we can't go play that game and see what are the strengths and weaknesses, what we can do better. Like, that boggles my mind. Yoshi P has it right. Who's playing what? What's the MMOs that people know? Because Final Fantasy XIV 1.0 was not that. So anybody was like, oh, I'll check out that MMO, was like, I don't even know how to speak the language over here. It's the right call. Player who gets so angry at World of Warcraft, here's a nice place to land. And that's a great business model. Honestly, it's pretty damn smart. And at the end of the day, it's just not a game that exists for me anymore. And that's perfectly fine. Not every game has to be for Brian. And despite my time with it, I don't regret any of the time I spent in 14. I don't regret helping people get into the game at all. But it's time for me to say...
You said I think he was projecting what he feels the game is now. Do you think that it's just like worded weirdly?
I mean, I'm expressing my own opinion. I don't know how that's projection, but maybe I don't understand the term.
But he feels like they're just catering to angry WoW players.
No, not catering to, but it's essentially a really great place for them to land.
I don't get the talk of risk-taking, then go to New World to get them pulled away from risk-taking at the last second as trying to appease the WoW players.
I mean, when we talk about risk-taking within the world of Final Fantasy XIV, like, you don't see a lot of... I would say player choice is a risk. I would say, obviously, player-driven economy is a risk. I dive into these in the top 5 reasons. I think I view those as risky because they take a lot of work and they're not necessarily going to be something that the community is going to enjoy right out the bat in that regards. The accumulated filth of all their FOMO for WoW, like WoW. In fact, we saw 14 start to kind of step into that shoes with the FOMO stuff, like with the like kind of limited timeout, and they clawed it back. And hands down, I was always confused by that. I was like, well, why did they do that? But then you go onto the other side of it and you go into the WoW side of it, and like, hey, once you pre-order and you know, like pre-game the 6 months and you're going to get this mount. Oh, and it turns out we're not going to have an update for 9 months. Like, okay. Or at least in 14, even with like, I was like, if they ever brought back where they're like, yeah, you know, be sub for 3 months during this period of time, get them out. Like if they ever brought that back, I wouldn't be worried about it because, you know, there's an update. Like it's coming. And if it doesn't show up, I think you got bigger problems like at that point, you know?
I mean, if they wanted to appease WoW players, they would just start putting like 0.5% drops for mounts on random enemies, like random hunt mobs that appear in the world, like an SSS rank with a chance to drop, like a 0.5% chance to drop like Alexander mount or some
That'd be cool. I think that would be cool. I've made the same kind of thing with cash out mounts. Like I get why they don't want to do that, but it's like, I mean, I don't like cash out mounts personally because I think that I would be fine with it if like there was an interesting and uber rare sense. Now that we can't even gift cash out mounts, we can't gift mounts, etc. Maybe the trade-off would be go ahead and, you know, let them have a 1 in 1 billionth chance of dropping. It's not a guarantee, but if it happened, man, if it happened, that'd be some dopamine.
Shit like that. Like that is what they would be doing. Or they would be adding chances for quests to randomly improve your gear, randomly roll like really good stats on your gear. They would be adding in like a shitload of new systems. They're resisting all that stuff. They're not doing any of that. Like, I don't know if there's that.
Right. And like in my mind, and that's where I come into it, like it feels like it's playing it safe and I feel like right now she's proving my point. Not that WoW did it right, but that they are playing it safe and WoW is taking risks, and that does not mean it will land. That like a risk doesn't mean it's going to be a success. So 14, especially for the last, not especially, ARR, Heavensward, Stormblood, Shadowbringers, Endwalker, the endgame tome raid progression. I want them to mix that up, do something dramatic, you know, and it might not work out. And that's why it's a risk, you know.
Many disgruntled WoW players in JP.
I mean, if you think about like Endwalker right now, do you think that Endwalker's taking any risk? They've taken risk in terms of, adding in a brand new piece of content, variant, Criterion, and the Criterion Savage. That's a risk, yeah. You know, but what I'm talking about is like overall, and so in to speak to that, so I would say I would give that a risk, but the tomes are the same, the raids are the same, the progression is the same, and then you're just kind of left going like, well, hey, and so what you see here, and you'll hear people who feel like that ultimately fall in line where it's like, oh, wait a minute, you know, and we talk about like in terms of patch scale, but like ability to put out the patches on time. That's a real strength of the game. But the weakness of that is that there are things that they have to sacrifice, and we sacrifice, you know, player driven choices. We sacrifice like them the ability to experiment in the end game, because like I said, I think from a business perspective, there probably isn't a great incentive for them to switch it up, because not enough people agree with, you know, like feel like the way I do, because not everybody has played all of this. You go away for a couple expansions, you come back after a while, you're like, you know, it's a nice place to step into. And then regarding PvP, I don't know. I don't agree. I think it's almost in a way it's a little too late, but I do love the changes to PvP. The fact that they continue to invest in it, I think they need to double down. Like their investment in PvP, it's if you're waiting to 6.0, I really hope that going forward, we start to see them take those risks. But no, I can't give it to the PvP as a risk, because I would classify that as a necessity.
P over there. And it's mostly the JP community that they're listening to. Like, it's the JP forums that they're listening to and making changes and stuff. But wait a minute. Oh, shit. But wait a minute. They added Criterion Dungeon, and the NPC for unlocking the Criterion Dungeon's name is Osman. And isn't Osman an awful lot like Asmon? And isn't Asmon the one who asked for the hard, small-scale content? And so doesn't it mean that Yoshi P, this whole time, he created this whole thing just to appease Osman? That's what it's been. That's what it's always been. Osman, gold. Can't you see it? It's right in front of you. Use your eyes. Wake up, sheeple.
Goodbye. And those are the 3 reasons why I'm leaving Final Fantasy XIV. So we're going to continue those discussions, and we're going to continue that show. And if you guys are interested in that, that's something that we're going to keep moving forward on. When it comes to
of course he's entitled to leave. Like, I'm having some fun here memeing on him because, like, if you're going to say something weird, you open yourself up for me to meme on you about it. But it's like, I'm not, like, ultimately what I want for him is to play a game that makes him happy. Okay, like I would hate to see somebody feel like they're pressured to continue to play when they're not having fun. Like, your life is short and there's no time to do that, and it's not even an effective business strategy.
Controller's a little bit more easy to understand, I think, personally, if you never played on mouse and keyboard. And then also for those of you who are physically impaired, who have some kind of, like, inability to play on a mouse and keyboard, that I've been able to help out. So that means a lot to me, and I'm very glad that I've been able to help out. But the reality is, I'm going to finish those.
That's nice.
I don't think I'm going to do, if I ever play the game again, any kind of crazy Omni 100 or whatever they end up doing, namely because I think that...
Yeah, if they wanted to make FFXIV like WoW, they'd make the story worse.
It really is a big thing that I didn't enjoy. I did it out of the love for the community, despite some of the community just being the absolute worst of humanity. I did it out of the love for the really good people, the parts of the community that I love. And so I want to finish those because I want people to be able to have that. Maybe somebody will step up and do controller guides, from here on out, and that'd be great. Maybe they'll...
It won't be me. I'll never do that.
Simplify and figure out some things to do, bring in some really cool technology. That'd be great too.
Absolutely
within the controller
not.
setup. I'll be very curious.
I cannot play a controller. I won't.
Again, looking for a reinventation, because they talk about another, and it's unfortunate that as a game, it's become that. It's become a game where the idea that it could improve is such an insult to people, versus where in New World, like, saying the game can improve, everybody gets excited. Like,
I don't think that's true, dude. Like,
Scott's
I think that it's not an insult to say the game can improve, because we pretty much talk about ways the game can improve every day on here.
Yeah, I think in terms of, like...
I think every single day we talk about some way that the game can improve. Okay, so...
Yeah, but how... I guess the difference is that I read the comments, and maybe that's my great sin for actually, like, I don't know, talking to people.
Maybe.
That are, like, in the comments. Maybe all of that is the core aspect, is that when talking on a live stream, generally you occasionally get somebody kind of fluting in here, but yeah.
In my experience, most people are happy to discuss that. In fact, it's one of the people's favorite things to talk about, is ways they want the game to improve. Like, this is all we talk about, really. So maybe it's more like the way you're saying that. Oh shit, I pressed the button. Okay, hear me out. I'm gonna put this as delicately as I can. If you're saying that from the perspective of someone that is not enjoying it, not having a good time, feeling forced to do it for the content, and then you make comments about that, and it's not fully from a place of, like, optimism for the game.
You shouldn't have to always frame everything just so that Care Bears will not snap. You can talk to people like adults, and if they can't handle it, they can move on.
And seeing the potential for the game in ways that you're excited about, ways it could improve. If you if you do that from that other perspective of like, oh, well, this other game is way better, and I wish this game was more like that other game, and like this has got this problem, and I'm just not having fun. Like, people will be able to pick up on that, and no matter how good your intentions are, no matter how good your point is, it will come across to people, and they will not take it as well as if you had given that exact same suggestion in a different mindset. Like, people will notice, and it's just not going
better. And it's unfortunate
that's my take on that.
As a game, it's become that. It's become a game.
There are some random FFXIV Andes who act like the game is perfect and it cannot be improved, but it's a tiny, tiny minority of people. Like,
I don't think it's a tiny, tiny minority. I think that's the myth in the 14 community that we've allowed to permeate so that we kind of feel good about not necessarily smacking them down. You don't need to agree with me, but this is obviously my perspective.
It's such a small fraction of people that are like that.
Oh gosh, I don't think so at all. The idea that it could improve is such an insult to people.
You said New World launched with a ton of problems, so of course people are more open to change. FFXIV can improve as well, but I think how is more divisive. Maybe it's just because there's way more people playing Final Fantasy XIV, so that's why there's more opinions about ways that it can and should be improved. So because there's just a shitload more people who have or way invested in the game and have been for many years, and so with more and more people, you're going to have more and more debates and controversies. It's natural.
Versus where in New World, like saying the game can improve, everybody gets excited. Like, yes, oh my gosh, imagine when we see this happen and when we can get this kind of content.
Look, I'm not going to sit here and dunk on New World, okay? I don't want to do that because let me tell you something. When I saw New World being advertised, I said here on stream, I don't care about that game. It doesn't look interesting to me. And then it came out and everybody got into it. And I said, well, I still don't really care about that game. It's just not that interesting to me. And then everybody went away from the game. And I said, well, I never tried it because I didn't care about it before it came out. I didn't care about it when it was hype, and I don't care about it now. And I'm still in that same exact opinion about New World. So
it's a very
I don't want to I'm just
let's see here. You want to I mean, this is not science, but I see the dislikes. I've seen them for a long time. Zeppelin and Asmon's reaction to this video, overwhelmingly positive. They didn't hit the like. I know Asmon didn't hit the like button. It's not a small minority. I think that's the lie. I think that's the myth. And I don't know if they know that. They might believe that, but that's not the case. It will be interesting to see what happens down the road.
Telling you that I could, like, I don't think there's a game. There are a few games that I care so little about.
And 14
have
is
so
a very
little interest in.
And in a way insecure kind of defensive. I always kind of was confused by that mindset.
That's why I said earlier, I would like him to make the video that is what I like about New World that it has that FFXIV doesn't. I genuinely would like to see that video, that perspective, because I don't know a lot about that game because I have had so little interest in it, but there's always something that you could learn from another game. Like, there's always something that, you know, what itch is it scratching that FF14 can't? Like, I think that you should be open-minded in hearing him out, hearing that, you know, what's caught his attention that maybe our game could take into account and consider.
That the idea that you're playing a game that does change in its nature. But
yeah, I've always been in that position for Nancy.
That community policing is, it just drives every good idea and even every bad idea. It's got to crush them all because we can't let this game change. We have to, you know, control the narrative. And it's not for those reasons that I'm leaving.
I really struggle to understand this point. I really do. I think that you said you weren't burnt out.
The three reasons I listed are
but it kind of does sound like that to me.
I'm sure those people will pop their head in occasion. But you know what? That's the game that they play. But that's essentially my plan, and those are the reasons why Final Fantasy XIV isn't the game for me.
Like, I couldn't ever imagine not going to FanFest. Like, but it's me. So it's really hard for me to put myself in this like in his shoes and in his perspective. I cannot imagine what his life is like with 5 kids. I can't imagine what it is.
Final Fantasy 11 means a lot to me. I'm debating on that. I have not yet reached.
But I really do feel like even this is a great let's pause. Look at that tongue. Anyways, I got distracted by the tongue, and I completely forgot my point that I was gonna say. Stop it! Don't put don't put the licking. Okay, I think what I was gonna say was that even in times, I guess BlizzCon is a good example. Even in times when I didn't care about WoW and I kind of burned out from WoW and I didn't want to play WoW anymore, even then, every time BlizzCon rolled around, I wanted to see it. I wanted to at least watch it. And, but then again, it's me. And I feel like we're just really different people because I'm very excitable. Okay. I get hyped very easily. It doesn't take a lot, for me to get hyped on something. And yet I could not get hyped on New World.
Yeah, no judgment.
I didn't think on New World. Okay, I'm sorry.
I didn't think I was gonna like New World.
I'm sorry.
Either way, in the comments, I'll be very curious as to that. But most
not
of my
trying
time,
to do that
in terms of gaming is really going to be focusing in on New World, and hopefully none of this is surprising. Hopefully none of this upset you.
It was surprising.
Let me know one way or the
But
other.
if it upset you, then you need to check yourself, because if you're upset about this, then that's really dumb. Like, you should not be upset about this. You should be happy for him. Listening to himself is the thing that I tell you guys to do all the time. Check to see, are you having fun? Are you having a good time? And if you're not, you need to make a change because life is too short.
Thanks, guys, so much again for your time. Thanks for listening to these words. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video. But until then,
I wanted to understand his point of view. Exactly. Raltix is a very good point. Figure out how FFXIV is failing in his eyes. It's always worth to listen to people that, had been really invested in the game for a while and then move away from it. You should listen to people like that. You shouldn't just, close your eyes and close your ears. I don't know why I did it like close your eyes. This is backwards. And, bury your head in the sand. And anybody who says that they don't like it, they're doing clickbait, or they're way off base and they got all these other problems. You should try to find what truth you can from their perspective. It's not a good tactic to say people get insulted if you suggest improvement and then not elaborate on points. That's fair. I do agree.
Bad, okay?
I completely disagree based off of what we talked about on the Asmund video. These things could end up being forever long. And it's essentially the idea is that if anything needs an additional elaboration, there's always the ability to sit down and make another video. There's absolutely no way. But what I will take as a part of that feedback is literally like, well, if I have talked about those specific things, to either create a playlist or to try and highlight that, be like, oh, and if you're interested in more about this, because we've talked about this before, check out video A, B, C, or D, things like that. I think that would be a value driven aspect. If ever what did Chris call it? Like, if I ever quit Final Fantasy 14 again, maybe one of these videos will be named that. And that's the thought. Karamak is maybe calling it Ginger XVI, something of that nature. I think that'd be kind of cool. Thank you so much, Carter Pants, for the 100 bits. I appreciate that. Let's see here. She's got a little bit more. She's got a couple more minutes on this. So let's see here.
I think really the thing that rubbed people wrong with this is more the complaints that he made about Final Fantasy specifically not feeling especially fleshed out. It felt more like he's just more interested in New World. And the specific complaints felt a bit weird. It was hard for me to understand them. And
it's interesting too, because it's that if you were a Final Fantasy 11 player, I would venture to bet there's a greater chance that you understand. And that's obviously a whole different case and perspective. That's something Chris won't have, but I won't understand, like his critiques from WoW. And that's where it's like, I think she said it best. Like, yeah, the goal is to listen and see what truth, especially in terms of your own, can you kind of relate to it?
Just like some of them didn't make any sense. Like the one about, the game is built for WoW refugees, that makes no sense at all. I really don't see anything in the game that would lead you to that conclusion.
I find that incredibly funny.
Because it's not. Besides being a good MMO, there's nothing.
Thank you, Faded. All right, and Boots McGutton. Okay, let's go. Let's go, chat. Sound off.
Thing about it that is like geared towards WoW players in any way. It's just a good MMO, so that's attractive to MMO players. So some of it was weird, but give the guy a break. He has 5 kids. Jesus.
And like I've said it before, Danish or Death Danish, it's designed. It's a WoW clone. Like that's perfect, and they have WoW's roadmap, so that way they can kind of make adjustments and go from there.
Like, I really have a lot of sympathy for him, but I do also feel like people. I can't shake this feeling like people are really dogpiling on him and being super harsh in a way that I don't feel is entirely justified. But then again, I haven't really watched his videos lately. I've heard some people complain to me that they felt like there was a lot of clickbait he was doing, but
yeah, and when they said that to Asmund, that in and of itself is so laughable, and the concept of clickbait, like that clickbait's gonna be in the eye of the beholder. My job, if you think of it as a job, is to make the most attractive thumbnail and title that makes the most sense for the content. It would be, in my mind, clickbait is that if I didn't talk about the subject that's in the subject of the thumbnail, people are welcome to disagree, but what they're doing with that is they're just trying to gatekeep. They have no actual real critique because they don't actively watch the content, and that's what they like to leverage because, oh, people hear it and becomes immediately necessary. So I don't agree with that concept, but it was very humorous in the case of Asmund, but also in the case of content creators. Like, it's literally like whatever they feel might be there, like whether it's, you want to call it an inner circle or not, it's like everybody else over here has these sets of rules, but we're not going to let this person or that person have that
bad,
concept.
Okay.
Thanks, Jelly, for the 100 bits. Appreciate that.
I feel compelled to give the guy a lot of slack. I wish him well. Yes, he might return for 7.0, as he said. Yes, he'll probably be covering the live letters, and maybe he will get interested in return. And if he does, I would hate to see people not want to welcome him back. Like, what if there is a live letter that comes up and he sees something in it that does reignite his interest in the game, and he gets excited about the game again. He wants to play the game again. He wants to make content about the game again. If people treat him like shit after that, I'm going to be pissed about it. Wow, someone said good riddance. And he pinned that comment. I do hope you continue to enjoy the game. That's harsh, man. I feel a little bit out of the loop here because I haven't been watching his latest videos. Like, has he just been pissing off people to the point that a comment like this would get almost 200 likes?
Yes. Yes, I have.
On this video.
But I was doing it even when I wasn't trying. And that's essentially where it's like, well, F you guys. Like, if I'm going to sit here and talk about this and y'all are going to just hate, then I might as well, not worry about it and literally just tell you how it is. Not sitting here and have to try and tiptoe and make you feel good about yourself, or try to frame it, like she said, like in a way overly, curated, at the end of the day, you're not really saying anything. You're terrified. And it's like, screw it. I'm just going to tell you how I think. And I did. And it was wonderful. And you know what? A lot of people thanked me for that, because they've been like, they feel like they can't say. And that's maybe a part of social media. We can talk about that more later.
Because this is crazy. What did he do that got everybody against him so hard? Jesus Christ. Even if he liked the game, how could he stick around with this kind of attitude? It does seem like the last few months of FFXIV has been a negative spiral for you, so stopping the game is most definitely the right call. Games are supposed to be fun. And if they stop being that, and New World is that for you, this is the direction you should go in. Yes.
Well, that was fun. That was fun. Thank you so much, Zeppler, for that reaction. And my voice feels drained, so I need to go get some water and I need to get some sleep. And yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed. I like their videos. They didn't hit that like button, but you could see here, obviously, in the dislikes, obviously, like I said, and I said at the beginning, like, for people who dip in and dip out, sometimes it can be confusing, but it's been a hell of a journey. It's been a wonderful ride. I appreciate all the great people that are in this community. And, I hope that, people continue to condemn those that damage and hurt the community. Like that's really, where it's at. But, maybe that's not the job of the content creator. Maybe that's not the job of anybody. Maybe that's the job of a filter. So comments like, from those Andes, you never end up seeing. So, yeah. And this is Brian. There's two of us that work together. But yeah. Anyway, on that note, guys,